Hello, and welcome to Addiction. This week we'll be meeting Timothy, a young man who used to be an ordinary person like you, or indeed like me. That is, until he fell into a trap. Not the sort that you dig and cover with leaves to catch something like a tiger. No. This trap is more deadly and far more messy. You see, Timothy's story is one of addiction, humiliation, incarceration, but finally, yes, finally, redemption. I think when you've heard Timothy's story, heard what he has to say about his crazy life, then you too will realize that his story must be told. Well, I remember the day that it all started very vividly. Me and a few friends were down at the local pub, you see. It was Dave's birthday and everyone was drinking, except for me. Some kind of lager, I think it was, they had. I was on orange juice. And then Stuart, you see, he went up to the bar for a second round. He came back with 5 pints and a big smile on his face. He handed me a pint and I started to drink it. See, I'd had a couple of sips and I looked across at him. He still had that grin on his face that he always has when he's up to something. So I asked him what was going on. He told me, while he was at the bar, he'd picked up a little something extra to help the evening go with a bang, seeing that it was Dave's birthday and all that, you know. Anyway, I asked him what he was on about, and he gestured at me to take a look under the table. So I did. Then he pulled out these 2 packets from his coat. He opened one of them and took something out and swallowed it. You know, just swallowed it like that. Well, he offered the packet to me. I said I wasn't interested, so he offered the contents of the packet to the others there, you see, starting with Dave, and then he passed the packet on, well, I don't know who it was, but he was sat next to Dave, and then he proceeded to partake of the bag's contents as well. Well, slowly, one by one, they all had some. Well, I felt a bit left out, obviously. You know, everyone else had had some, so I thought I'd join in. They were all smiling and that, so I thought, you know, it must be good. So, next time he offered it, I accepted the offer from Dave. I reached in my hand, pulled out some of what was inside, and it seemed like an age went by, and I was still sat there with it in my hands, everyone looking at me. They all knew it was my first time, you know, they wanted to see my reaction. Well, they all started laughing as I put it up to my mouth. I closed my eyes and I went for it. You see, I'd never had crisps before. Yeah, it's hard to describe what it's like the first time. The taste, the crunch, the texture. It was all over in a whirlwind of a moment and I was left wanting more. Much more. Excuse me. That first night with my friends, you see, it was the start of a bus ride to hell, stopping off only when the money had run out, or the spa was shut. For those first few times I was already salted. It wasn't long before I tried experimenting with all the different flavours. Cheese and onion, smoky bacon, prawn cocktail being my favourite, because the smell used to linger on my fingers and I could still catch a whiff of it off my fingertips hours afterwards. But of course, the fairy tale couldn't last forever. The evil queen turned up in the shape of my bank manager, who wrote me a letter to say I was heavily in debt. Well, it was quite nice of him, except he charged me £20 just for the privilege. Anyway, I had to curb, you know, my spending, as every penny I earned was being spent on my crisp habit. I had to stop using the good quality crisps. They were getting too expensive, and I found that I could get more packets if I bought a supermarket's own brand. From there it got worse, and soon, you see, I was eating Super Crunches and other maize-based snacks like Space Invaders and Bacon Bites. Oh, I was really low at this point. Things got worse even still though, you see, because when you first get into crisps, no one tells you the downside. Dry mouth, not knowing where to throw the empty packet, And of course, the crumbs. The crumbs get everywhere, especially if you're doing crisps in bed. It's an expensive habit as well, you know, but not only in monetary terms. I was broke, that's true, but I'd also lost my girlfriend, my family, my dignity. Then everything went mad, just mad. You see, I longed for the good times, the high life, the hit, the crunch that only Walker's crisps can give you. I decided that crime was the only way to pay for my crisps. I made a replica gun out of some empty packets of chipsticks and marched down to the Spar on the corner. You see, in my crisp-deprived frenzy, what I failed to do was notice the police patrol car that was tailing me. I got to the Spar, pulled out my chipstick packet gun, but the shop was shut. Oh, I couldn't believe it. The rest is a blur of broken glass, sirens, policemen, handcuffs. I was bundled into a police car and ended up being given 3 years for attempted robbery and the possession of crisps. Apparently there were a few crumbs in my chipstick gun. You know, it might seem harsh, but prison helped me to overcome my addiction. It wasn't because of any schemes that the prison was running, but just because crisps were just too damn hard to come by. They were the currency of the prison, you see. Everything was bought and sold with crisps. But because I had no girlfriend to smuggle them in for me, I was basically penniless. I went through hell in those 3 years. I did an awful lot of thinking, and I'll tell you, I really turned my life around. But that was 2 years ago now. I've been clean ever since, and I certainly wouldn't touch another crisp ever again. But I look around me, you see, and I'm really worried about, well, how easy it is for young people to get hold of crisps nowadays. What with 24-hour shops and that. Also, you got more user-friendly flavours like Salt and Lineker, Cheesy Owen, Smoky Beckham, you know, and all of these are foil wrapped, so the crisps are fresher, crunchier, tastier. But that's all behind me now. I've totally rebuilt my life. I've even bought a dog. He's lovely. But I never should have started, and I certainly wouldn't advise youngsters to start neither. Don't do it. Just say no to crisps.